Welcome back, everyone. I'm Philippe Khan, and you are watching a very special edition of The Daily Driver for Monday, February 16th, 2009. I say very special because Monday is usually my day off, but I've had so many days off recently that I feel like I have a responsibility to provide some fresh content to the BMW community, and I also want to refute some of those rumors floating around about my untimely demise. As you can see, they are slightly inaccurate. Let's get to the news, folks. I want to talk to you today about the 5 Series Gran Turismo, unveiled in Munich just a few days ago. We've talked about it on the Daily Driver here in past episodes, and we've referred to it as either the V Series, the V5, the 5 Series GT, or its most common moniker, the Progressive Activity Sedan. And I encourage you to go to Google just as soon as you stop watching this broadcast and Google Progressive Activity Sedan or 5 Series Gran Turismo so you can see exactly what the boys in Munich have been up to. I'm going to describe it to you, but my powers of description may fail me in this case, folks. Let me first tell you what BMW says it is. BMW says it's a combination of a sporty BMW sedan, a modern sport activity vehicle, and a classic Gran Turismo. This observer says it's more like a combination of a station wagon, a minivan, and an X6, but Google it and you decide, folks. I'm holding in my hand right here an 8-page press release from the BMW Group describing in great detail everything about this 5 Series Gran Turismo Progressive Activity Sedan. And you may wonder what they have to say in these 8 pages. Well, let me tell you what they don't mention, or what they mention very little about, and that's vehicle dynamics and the driving experience. You won't find anything in here about 0 to 60 times, quarter mile times, lateral acceleration figures. No! So what are they talking about for 8 pages? Let me tell you. First of all, they talk about a first-class ambiance and a flexible interior, an elevated seating position which promotes good outward visibility, a rear seat which is adjustable fore and aft by 4 inches, and headroom virtually identical as that of the BMW X5. They also talk about trunk space, and boy does this thing have trunk space. 15.1 cubic feet in its most conventional configuration. That's just as much as a new 7 Series, but you move those rear seats forward by 4 inches and that grows to nearly 20 cubic feet. Fold those rear seats forward and fold the bulkhead into the floor of the vehicle, and you get a maximum luggage capacity of 58 cubic feet. This is a car for people with a lot of baggage, and all of that baggage is accessible by a bimodal trunk, what they BMW calls two, count them, 2 tailgates in one. Who knew? It's, of course, loaded with all of BMW's latest technology, folks. I'm talking about black panel technology. That's their new gauges for their new gauge cluster. They've got the new LED headlights built into the Corona light rings, and you may be happy to know 21-inch wheels are available, as well as a Hofmeister kink. Yes, we still have a Hofmeister kink, and if you don't know what a Hofmeister kink is, Google that too, because every BMW since 1961 has had one, and they haven't forgotten it on this car. A lot of people are going to ask why, folks. Why does BMW feel the need to build a car which is every bit as long as any BMW, save a 7 Series, every bit as tall as any BMW except for an X5, and nearly as wide as either of those vehicles? And I don't know exactly why, but I can postulate, and I will say that this is BMW's answer to the upcoming Porsche Panamera, and even somewhat they may position it up against the Mercedes CLS. This is a car for those who are fairly well-heeled, who can afford something that's a little bit different, and they want something that still affords a modicum of practicality and hopefully a decent driving experience. I am going to withhold final judgment, folks, until I do get a chance to drive this car and evaluate it completely, and of course you'll have my complete impressions right here on the Daily Driver just as soon as I get that opportunity. But I think the big takeaway here, folks, is that this car gives us a very, very good look at what the next 5 Series, the F10, is going to look like. If you look at the face of this car, I think that's pretty good news. It's inspired by the CS concept car, which debuted in Shanghai about a year ago. Big kidney grills and headlights which rake inward in a sort of an angry stare, if you will, and a nicely understated yet sporty front fascia. So if you take this car from the A-pillar forward and give it just a conventional sedan silhouette from there on out, I think you have the next 5 Series, and I definitely think that car is going to be a winner. How about the 5 Series Gran Turismo? Well, you'll end up deciding, folks. We'll see if BMW has created a new niche here which they will win, or have they just laid themselves a big goose egg. All right, moving on, folks. For those of you in the Southern California area, particularly Los Angeles, if you're going to be here through February 24th, I highly, strongly suggest that you stop by the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, because up till February 24th, they will be displaying 4 of their art cars, those made by Andy Warhol, Frank Stella, Roy Lichtenstein, and Robert Rauschenberg. Those are an M1, 2.3 Series, and a 6 Series, respectively. And these are fun vehicles. I'm not sure if you ever heard about the art cars, but basically they are modern artists, and some of the best modern artists, reinterpreting their own visions on the canvas of a BMW. So they offer something a little bit different. I don't think anything in the automotive world quite compares to this. And my favorite, of course, is the M1 by Andy Warhol. Not just because it's Andy Warhol and because he is one of the more significant modern artists of our time, and because he predicted my appearance here on the Daily Driver, and this is my 15 minutes of fame, but also because it's an M1 and it is historically significant for BMW for a couple of reasons. This particular M1 ran in the 24 Hours at Le Mans and managed to capture 6th place in that race, and also because the M1 is a watershed car for BMW. Not a particularly successful car, mind you. One day we'll talk more about the M1 and why it wasn't exactly BMW's crowning achievement, but it did start the motorsport division of BMW, which has been around for 30 years now and now produces some of the world's most affordable, most livable supercars. But if you look at the history of the M1, you'll see that it was something of a stillborn supercar that never quite found the audience that it was looking for. All right, folks, that is it for yet another edition of the Daily Driver. I will see you here tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you then.